Well, I mean, as a member of a sub-regional parliament, I've had the opportunity to travel to all these countries, Mali, you know, Niger, Burkina Faso, that axis. And to some extent, I understand what is happening there. I'm not so worried about it in relation to Ghana, because in many of those countries, the state itself, at a certain point, lost legitimacy. Just lost legitimacy.
Okay.
The state was out of touch with a significant portion of its territory. That's to say, the state wasn't connected to those spaces. No roads to those places, no electricity, no water, no school, nothing. Okay? So it got to a point where they just decided that they wanted to live without the state. And indeed, the state became a target. And of course, it appeared to me they didn't even understand what was happening, because instead of trying to restructure the state in such a way that everybody was included, they went on the offensive. And so these people rebelled. And then, of course, others took advantage. Some parasitic characters, because in all these places are some dotted mineral resources. Galamsey is not only in Ghana. I mean, there are mineral deposits in parts of these countries and these areas. So people went in there and illegally tried to exploit these resources. And so they pumped in resources to finance these people, to ward off state intervention so that they could have the freedom to exploit as much as they needed. So one thing led to the other, to a point where the state just lost control. Of course, their problem with the French is that they thought the French would be able to help. But you have to help yourself first, and then your allies will help you. So they then brought in the Russians to see if the Russians could help. So that's the picture. Now, why do I say I'm not so worried in relation to Ghana? I mean, our institutions and the mechanisms that we have put in place, for instance, our democracy is functioning. No matter how disgruntled you are with our democracy, it is a functioning democracy. You can get remedies if you fight for it. Elections do occur regularly. If you build the capacity to monitor it, you can get the best outcome. And indeed, if you get the votes, you could actually have a change without having to use force. So there's an extent to which the institutions are functioning. And we have a national financing architecture that ensures that state resources are distributed across the country. So you can go to the most remote parts of the country, you still see electricity. You still see schools being built. You see clinics being built. You see the presence of the state. The state had posted doctors, nurses, teachers, public servants to provide services. There are vast territories in most of these countries that we're talking about that you just go to and there's no presence of the state whatsoever. They've never known the state.